In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at configuring quantity attributes. Now, these are a very different way of thinking about the traditional attributes that you would have on your products. So traditionally, for something like the example we've got here, which is a garment with different sizes, you would have those different sizes available in one attribute with a few different options of small, medium, and large. What we've got in this particular case is a garment with three completely separate attributes, which are themselves those individual attribute options, so small, medium, and large. Once in there, we can apply a quantity to each of those selections, and then once those have been added to basket, you'll see that they all get added to the basket as a single order quantity in the cart. It's in a single entry within the actual basket itself. You can see the breakdown of the different sizes we've got from our different attributes, and then it's summed those quantities that we've specified. So we can see our total quantity is 30 and the total price has been considered accordingly. Now let's take a look at how to actually set this up. So the first thing we actually need to do is to create or edit some product attributes to be the correct type. Now, if I go to my catalog section, attributes, and then product attributes. Now we can create brand new attributes, or I can just go and modify some existing ones. So I'll select one of the ones we've got on our example product and go to edit. Now, in order to actually enable this particular feature, we need to use this setting here, which is the attribute link. If I go to the little tooltip, you'll see that says, establish what the property of the job with this attribute value will control. Quantity link can only have the following attribute control types, so drop-down list, radio list, and number. So the reason for those different control types, as we'll see later on, is that we are entering a specific numerical value in here, as we saw in our example. So we need to make sure that those are the only inputs we can put in, and those are the relevant types that we have there. So in order to actually enable this, by default, this is on the default option. For any attributes which need to match this functionality, change that to quantity, and then click Save. Once we've created all of our relevant attributes, we navigate to the actual product details page itself for the product in question, and then navigate to the product variant settings. I'm then going to go to the attributes tab. Now, I'm not going to cover attributes in a great amount of detail in here. There are other contents on the Infigo Academy which cover it in more detail. Now, you can see in my case that I've added our three attributes here. If I want to add some additional ones, I can just click on Add New Record. And then we want to select the control type that is relevant for our particular scenario that we're trying to consider. So remember that the only control types we're allowed to utilize are number. If I go and edit, we can change that. We can also have drop-down list and we can have radio buttons. So because we've changed that setting within the attribute we did previously, these are the only options that we have available to us. So let's make one each of those just so we can see what that does. Now you'll see for the number option, we don't have the ability to configure it any further because that is just going to present us with a numerical input box where we're actually specifying the value that we want. If, however, we have the drop-down list or the radio button list, we're going to want to specify additional values that we want available in there. So for example, in my small options here, you can see I've got 1, 5, and 10 for specific selectable quantities. If you do want to utilize a number control, which is that numerical input box, then it's a good idea to specify default values, minimum values, and maximum values within, well, what people can actually put within that numerical input box. So if I go back to the Info tab and scroll down, you can see here we have a section for that kind of information. Okay, so with this information input, I'm going to click Save and then view that particular product. You can see now that I've got a few different entry types based on what I've selected. So my small is a drop-down list, giving me a few options that we've pre-specified. I've got my radio buttons, and I've got my numerical input, which in my case only allows me to do quantities of 5 because that is how I've specified it. I can add those to basket. And then we can see the resulting entry in the cart. And now we can proceed through to checkout.